Welcome, everybody, to episode 8 of The Out Route. You've seen her on the sidelines of the biggest games. She's the queen of NFC North coverage, everyone's favorite NFL network, or should I say ESPN now, reporter?
Yeah.
It's Stacey Dales.
Welcome to The Out Route with your host, Lauren Screeden.
Welcome.
Lauren, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me. Congrats on the podcast. And
Thank
if
you.
you hear my dogs barking,
They're so happy for me. Thank you.
They're just saying hello and congratulating you.
It's so funny because whenever I do an intro or I say hello to someone, that's when Chevy thinks somebody's here. So they know the inflection and they're excited. That's good.
I wouldn't have it any other way because they're God's angels, as I call them.
They're the best.
They're
the best. Okay, so I mean, it's technically the off season for you, but there's no off season anymore.
No, there really isn't. And you mentioned ESPN. We were officially, NFL Network was officially purchased by ESPN, which is basically Disney, on April the 1st. So that, if you close on a house, I guess we were closed on. So it's exciting. I'm really excited about it. Laura and I started my career there. And so, I'm excited for the opportunities that are ahead to work with not only the same folks that I've been with for now, this will be my 18th season in the NFL, but as I go into this 18th season, adding some new ideas and new excitement and, expanding the team, if you will. So the NFL doesn't end though. I mean, like you just said it, right? It's 365, 24/7.
It totally is. That's kind of cool, though, that you get a little bit of a full circle moment here back with ESPN. Because what was your first year with ESPN?
My first year at ESPN would have been 2002 or 3. And I spent roughly 7.5 years there, primarily doing basketball. But the beauty of ESPN is just the plethora of platforms that they execute and cover a multitude of sports. So obviously I'm kind of a junkie in the NFL at this point in my career. And it'll be fun to see how we expand and how we change. And I think that's important in life, just as you go through it, right? We have to evolve as people. And I think we evolve professionally as well.
Totally. Did you ever think that football would be your life? I mean, because basketball was just, and I want to get into your background on that there, but did you ever think that it was going to be football?
I couldn't have imagined it. I honestly, Lauren, couldn't have imagined it. And I could probably ask you the same question. And it's always great to share the field with you. And when I see you down there, if I have a Bears game, which I had quite a few this season. So it's cool to have this conversation with you. I was so entrenched with basketball. I was, speaking of junkies, I was obsessed with basketball. I was like, I was the kid that went to sleep with a basketball, which is very strange. But I think at the heart of who I am is somebody who's a competitor and a leader, and I love to lead and I love to compete and I love to see other people around me thrive. And basketball gave me the avenue to be able to do those things, and I happen to love it. So I never thought, I never would have imagined. I did go to a basketball school at Oklahoma, and football is relative religion in Norman, Oklahoma, in the state of Oklahoma. But I carved out a little niche for myself there and had an incredible coach in Sherry Cole, and it was a great experience.
I went to what was a basketball school, but now we have to say it's a football school because I went to Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
Which we're all confused now. Like, what are we?
Man, the great Bob Knight would argue it's a basketball state. And with Caitlin Clark there now and what the Pacers have going. But what I would say about Indiana, though, it is a brilliant state when it comes to sports. I could not be happier for you Hoosiers. Like, what a hell of a season that was.
So fun. I mean, between Indiana and the Bears both being good, I was like, where am I? What world are we living in here?
No kidding. No kidding. It's a good time to be a Hoosiers fan and Hoosier fan and college sports in general. It's wild where it's come, having played at the collegiate level to see what NIL has become now and the money that is available to these athletes at the collegiate level is really exciting for them. Certainly.
Having been a college player yourself, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think you look back and say, oh, gosh, what would I have been able to?
Yeah, right.
But, when I came out of college, I was drafted 3rd overall to the Washington Mystics in DC. And let's just say the paychecks weren't bumping back then. Social media it wasn't what it is now, obviously.
You didn't have a Nike deal on Instagram?
I did have a
No?
Nike deal. I did have a Nike
Okay.
deal. I was a
Okay.
Nike athlete. And they paid well, those of us that were Nike athletes. But no, I didn't have any TikTok or Instagram. Shoot, I still don't. So
Right. I want to go back a little bit.
Mhm.
You're falling asleep with a basketball at night in Canada, right? I mean, what was it like where you grew up? Were you in the city, in the country?
Yeah, I grew up in the country in Canada, very small town, Brockville, city of 1,000 islands. It's, in eastern Ontario, Canada, and 21,000 people. But I grew up, out past a place called Tin Cap in Spring Valley. And we lived very rural. We had farms all over surrounding us. We picked our own corn. We picked our own strawberries. I was not a farmer, much respect to the farmers, but I grew up, kind of out on the dirt roads. I learned how to drive a stick shift when I was 15. My dad took me out on the dirt back roads, we used to call them. And that's how I learned to drive. And I'm proud of where I came from. It's a special place. And the people are really nice. Canadians are very nice people.
They're really nice. Were you torn in the Olympics? Do you root for the Canadians? I would
Well,
understand.
This is a good question, Laura, because I do have, the hockey sweaters behind me of the U.S. and
I
the
see
Canadian.
that.
Now, I'll be very honest with you. As a Canadian by birth, I'm always going to go with my allegiance to Canada first. However, I am, as you know, an American citizen. It was maybe my greatest accomplishment becoming a U.S. citizen. I'm so proud of this country, and I'm proud to be both. But when the hockey men's and women's teams were playing, of course, I was rooting for Canada. I can't lie.
It was so fun, though. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
the outcome was good for us, but I mean, that was, you have certain moments where
Mhm.
it feels like it reminds you again how sports, not to be so romantic about it, but can bring a country together. I mean, that was really cool to experience those couple weeks.
Yeah, it was galvanizing, and it goes back to just how enriching sports are. I think they bring people together in the best way. I've always said, having competed in the Olympics, that the Olympics it's the most incredible worldly global experience, because even in the throes of competition, you are surrounded by and rooting for other athletes aspiring to be gold medalists, silver medalists, bronze medalists, even just to make the Olympics. And it's the one time where you walk in to an opening ceremony of anything, and you have every collection of countrymen and women celebrating sport and celebrating something together in unison. And that was what was so glorifying about the Olympics. You walk into that ceremony and every country is rooting for you. And so, in a world full of chaos that we are amidst, it is a special thing. And that's really what sports do. I mean, you can't not watch the NCAA tournament. If you don't know basketball, you still watch it, because it's, you root for your school, you get on that bandwagon. And I'll never forget having played in a Final Four and what that was like, being serenaded by our band at the University of Oklahoma and our fans traveling to watch us play and compete all the way to a national championship game. Sports is unlike anything. And certainly football is at the top of it all.
It's so cool. I mean, you mentioned you don't even have to watch it to be a fan. And it was funny. I made a video about this, like, speaking of, TikTok and whatever else. It was like, congrats to all the girlies out there who are going to win their March Madness brackets based on school colors, mascot, dating someone that they don't like from that school. Like,
No
those are the
doubt.
ones who win every year. It's like the people who look at the stats, these guys in the office brackets are not the ones winning. It's a girl who doesn't care.
Oh, yeah, you got nothing to lose. In fact, I just had a medical appointment, and the assistant walked in and said she had like $5,000 on the line, and she was probably going to win it. I mean,
Good for her.
Unbeknownst to her. Yeah, you go for it. No, I don't gamble. We're not allowed to in the NFL.
Right.
But
On record, we're not gambling.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun, though, to see people win.
Totally. When did it become a reality for you? Or when did you say, I'm going to play in the WNBA?
Well, that's a good question, because it was all very fresh. I mean, you had Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Swoops and Dawn Staley who kicked things off and previously had the ABL. And I mean, it became a reality as I went to University of Oklahoma back in, 97 as a 17-year-old and realized that that was the actual year that the league started, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm a freshman, too skinny and 17 years old out of Canada, going to the Bible Belt. And all of a sudden there's a WNBA. And it was as my career kind of evolved. I tore my ACL my first year and I thought to myself, there's going to be a lot of hard days. I'm naturally very emotional, but I had quite a few tears that first year and got through it though, stronger than ever. And my career ended up pretty good. And I think midway through college, Lauren, I realized that, well, I might not have to get a normal, real job. I might just be able to play basketball for a little while. And I certainly was able to, and that was a blessing.
You say you're an emotional person. That's so funny because in this business, I feel like you have to, feel the emotions of people, but you are always so, even keeled and even like, that's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very sensitive, probably hypersensitive. I've always kind of wore my heart on my sleeve as a player when I played. You could quickly discern what kind of mood I was in. My college coach would tell you. But it was really her who channeled that and constantly reminded me to have a level of stoicism, that understanding when you're a leader, everybody looks to you good or bad. And I felt responsibility in that. I think leadership there's so much responsibility beholden in being a leader. And it's, you often hear, the late, great Kobe Bryant, leadership is lonely, or John Maxwell, I love studying leadership. And Sherry Cole was an incredible leader for me. But I had to learn how to walk in the same every day because I had amazing teammates and I looked to them for things, but I knew they looked to me for poise and having a sense of control, knowing when to elevate a moment, knowing when to check on somebody, knowing when to put my arm around somebody, but also be hard on them. And those are all things like as an athlete that you take into the workforce with you that are just so cherished as you go through your career in whatever capacity that may be. So the emotion though, like, I can't watch a show if there's a sad part and not cry.
About the dogdie.com and you can see, and then it'll tell you not to watch the show. So just a little pro tip there because I'm not watching the show. Not watching the show.
Thank you for that tidbit.
Maybe there's other ones out there where you can...
I can't, if that happens, I can't watch it. Furthermore, I cannot watch a show with animals in it because my dogs watch it with me and bark like lunatics. However, that is good to know because if an animal dies in a show, I struggle mightily on that. I honestly usually turn it off. So.
No, I have to. And my husband's like, you're watching these like crazy serial killer documentaries and everything else. People are getting killed and you're fine. And it's like, but we can't, I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. I want to go back to the leadership part because I love that you said you like to study leadership and all that. And all the things you talked about are ways that, learning how to be a leader, when to put your arm around somebody, when to be tough on them. You evolve and you adapt over time. And I think there is something though in you where you're a natural born leader. And I don't know if it's something in how you were raised, but what is that? Is there somebody in your life that had that effect on you where you knew that you were meant to lead in some way?
It's a deep question, I think, because, my late brother, Burke, he was really hard on me growing up. And I struggled with that for a long time, but he was also the best at everything he did. And I really admired how good he was at everything. If there was a sport that you could play, Burke played it. And he always won, and he was an incredible athlete. He was Gretzky-esque on the ice. He was, 6'3", 230, and just he could, dance on skates. Like he was that incredible. Became a fighter though, and spent his career in the penalty box, so he went and played football. But
pretty successful in the Canadian Football League too, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And he won a Grey Cup with the Stampeders. And, he I think though, looking back, like if you don't have that person that pushes you, everything was a
Mm.
competition in our house. And I had to learn how to be really strong. And I had to learn
Yeah.
how to stand up for myself. And we got into some fights now. I mean,
Mm,
but you know what? That prepared me to be able to step on the court and set a screen and knock the crap out of somebody on a screen.
mhm.
Like you just,
Yeah.
you learn how to play that way while still being graceful. So, but I think from a leadership standpoint, honestly, leaders are so imperfect and they're harder on themselves than anybody. And I think that, when you are a leader, I think you recognize that you do have flaws and there is wisdom in other people's voices. You can learn from other people. You can, as John Maxwell says, fail forward. So when you
Mhm.
fail, you're always evolving to figure out that failure and better it. And one of my favorite Peloton instructors, Robin Arzon, she says failure is feedback. And so I think the best leaders, they know they're not the smartest person in the room, and yet there's great responsibility that they carry on their shoulders. And so I think it's a gift for many people that are leaders. And I'm amazed at so many of the coaches cross sport platform that we can all learn from.
Mhm.
Something they say after a game, or a book that my college coach wrote, which I have her books here behind me. There's wisdom to be gained in that. And I always saw it as such an opportunity to be a part of a team and to be a leader on a team. There's so much joy and gratitude in that, because you are responsible to lift people up or check them. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's not easy leading all the time, but I think people excel when they're around the best leaders.
Mhm. And I think you make a good point when the day you realize that, you're not the smartest person in the room, you have more to learn, and failing is part of that. I think that's when you truly can start to make that difference.
Yeah, the ego is a beast.
And until you realize it's there, and that's like part of, I mean, probably only in the last year of my life did I realize how much that in particular has been honestly holding me back. And it's like, it's a brutal realization when you're
Yeah,
like, oh my gosh, this
yeah.
is what, and it's in this weird way, it all starts to make sense. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're protecting yourself and especially, in
Mhm.
this business too, it's like, and I've said this on the podcast before, but it's like, it would be really nice to go through life going, I don't care what anybody else thinks. But in reality, in this job, it quite literally matters what other people think. Because if they don't want to watch you, if they don't want to follow you, if they don't want to like your stuff, if they don't want to,
Mhm.
I mean, how you look, how you sound, all of that has to do with it. And
Yeah,
what you know, I mean, but what you know is kind of the last thing in this business. So it's really kind of, excuse my language, kind of a mind fuck.
it is a mind fuck. I'll go ahead and say it with you.
We can say whatever we want on this podcast,
Yeah,
but it will screw
listen.
you up.
I like that
Oh,
transparency, and it is the reality of the world we live in. When you go back to the struggles, I mean, the human experience is very hard. The
mhm.
human body takes a beating through life.
I'm just learning about a nervous system. I'm like,
Oh,
what up?
the
I have to
central.
regulate what?
I have a book that I read all about the central nervous system. So don't even get me started on the central nervous
I'm
system.
over here drinking warm lemon water in the morning, doing breathing exercises. For God's sake. I'm like, what do you mean I haven't done this for 30 years?
That's
I've been in
fantastic.
fight or flight for 15 years. Good.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah. And it doesn't get any easier. The beauty of aging is wisdom. There's a calm in wisdom as you get older. Each decade you get older. But as you get older, you start to accrue more pain. You start to accrue more loss. I know you've had very close loss in your life, and you get hardened by it, but the human experience is really hard. And that's where when you fail or you're going through something at work or something didn't work out, you didn't like your performance, your ego grows in a different way. I think your ego gets checked. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a healthy thing. And that's why it's okay to not be perfect. I spent much of my life thinking, as I grew up and I was good at sports, like how can I perfect this, or what more can I do? And this is an imperfect experience. The human experience is very imperfect, and we are so flawed. And that's okay. That's okay. Everybody's going through a battle. There is a
Yeah.
battle in everybody's mind, and I see great compassion in that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have to ask, how much older was Burke than you? How far apart in age were you?
2.5 years, so pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My brother's 13 months older than me. So we
Oh.
grew up like, when you say that, I'm like, oh, I got the shit beat out of me. And that's why, like, today it was like, well, how'd you become so good at sports? It's like, because a ball was getting thrown at my head. And if
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't learn to catch it, then you get hit in the head.
We used to
So-
play, I can relate on so many levels. We used to play road hockey, constantly play road hockey. I mean, and all the kids in the neighborhood out of the country would come over and we'd set up the goals. And I used to pray. My brother would pick me on the team. And then I was like,
Same.
I had to find my voice. Like, when do I get to pick the team? Like, why don't I get to pick the team? And make sure he was on my team if I got to pick it eventually when I was afforded that luxury. But yeah, I did not want to suffer and endure a body check at the hands of my brother ever.
No, but we didn't, thankfully hockey wasn't it for us, but I think that's why I know so much about football, because I would go to his games and, I still say to this day, I could catch a pass better than him for sure.
Obviously.
For sure.
Well, you're a total athlete.
Obviously. Well, thank you. No, you're the athlete here. So we'll get back to you. You played for the Chicago Sky,
I did.
ending your career, right?
I
And
did.
that Chicago wasn't home at the time. Did you ever think at that point Chicago was going to be?
Yeah, so
home?
I did not. And it was so interesting because my favorite team obviously was the Bulls growing up. And whenever I used to fly over or through Chicago, I used to think, man, this is the gem of all cities. And I had temporarily retired from the game in my 20s, and the Sky called me, and Michael Alter, the owner, called me and basically said, would you consider being our first player? And I said, let's go. Let's do it. Let's run it back. And yeah, I fell in love with
Okay,
the
little
city.
Tom Brady coming out of retirement.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
still too young though. And, the one thing I think I've always, missed is never winning a championship. Like, I didn't win a championship in the WNBA, came real close in college. That just never leaves you. So when you see these teams go to Super Bowls and lose, and you see these college teams
Yeah.
lose the national champion, you never forget about it. Like your memories, sadly bring that one too. But again, that goes back to failure, right? What do you take away from it? What was the experience like? You always remember the people that you were with, doing it with. I remember all my teammates. They're up there behind me in one of the pictures on the back of the wall. I had amazing teammates, and we had a blast. And I still text with my college coach, Sherry, and how we just need to get together more because we were very close. And, spending 5 years at a place will do that. But I did fall in love. My first city was DC, and Chicago quickly became my home. I moved to California, which is where I started the NFL Network. And when they put me back out on the road, like I started in the studio actually at NFL Network.
Okay.
And when it was still in Culver City. And, they made some adjustments and changes and wanted me to start getting out into the field. And I did. And I just went to my boss at the time and I asked for permission to go back to Chicago where I could be centrally located. So I think that speaks to how much I love this city.
Yeah. And it was the 90s. But we're talking MJ, Dennis Rodman, like the championship 90s team that made you fall in love with it, right?
Oh my gosh. John Paxson, Steve Kerr, Bill Cartwright. Horace Grant. Like, let me go on and on. Like, I was like, I read the Jordan Rules book. Like, I used to be very artistic and I used to sketch and paint, and I don't do much of that now. But I remember sketching my first real boyfriend as a teen. I sketched him. We were both basketball junkies, ridiculous, but I sketched him a picture of Michael Jordan.
That's awesome.
How romantic is
That's
that?
awesome. Honestly, romantic. That would be the way to my heart for sure.
I hope he
Why
still
don't
has
you
it.
sketch or draw anymore or paint?
I think I work too much, honestly. I think I work too much. My mom was a painter and a very good artist, and she also stopped. I think that's that perfectionism bug that you're just like, how can I go back to that? So
Yeah. When you do get a day off,
Mhm.
are you like, oh, I'll go sit at a baseball game and enjoy it? Or are you like, I'm going to a farmer's market, I'm not looking at a TV, nothing sports, nothing? Like,
Yeah.
what does the rare off-season day look like for you?
Well, I'm a neat freak, so there's part of me that's doing something, cleaning something at my house. but more often than not, I'm playing music. I'm listening to music, watching music, playing music, and cooking. So that is my great escape. I love being in the kitchen. I love cultivating new recipes and foods and trying new things. And like, I want to make my own pizza dough. I don't want to buy pizza dough. I want to make it myself and I want to perfect that recipe. And so I think that's probably my long lost passion.
I love that. And that's a form of art. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. I mean, and hopefully, it tastes good. And I think my food
Yeah.
tastes pretty good. So, yeah.
I am a terrible cook, but I have this off season, I have gotten on the sourdough journey train.
Okay.
And I got to say, it's going pretty well, actually.
I need some photos of that.
I
I
will
love
send
the
them to you.
art.
I know. And Spice called me yesterday and he was like, you're not actually making this sourdough. And at the time I was making salmon and I'm talking to him and I'm like, do you put the lemon on before you put it in the oven or after? He's
That's
like,
hilarious.
I gotta go. I
Hey,
can't
why did you
talk
start
about
why
this.
did you decide to start doing a podcast? I'm just curious. I think podcasts can be so revealing in so many ways.
Totally. I think a lot of times it was a feeling of being stuck almost. And I love the time that I've had with the Bears. I love all the opportunities I've had so far in my career, but I felt like I just needed to do something for myself that was just me and authentically me, and being able to interview and just really talk to people who I've had connections with over the years, who I know just there's more to the story. I just like felt this calling to do that. And I there's a lot of there's a lot of opportunities out there that some I was getting, some I wasn't getting,
Mhm.
and the ones that I wasn't getting, it was like, well, I want to be showcasing that I can do these other things, and I
Yeah.
want to have something out there that's showing I can interview people and I can do all that. And then I realized, well, I actually want to do it because I just like that, right? And
Yeah.
I just want to be able to have these connections with people. And so I don't necessarily need a show to be able to do that. I don't necessarily need it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg or the whatever that is. I was like, I could create something that if some people listen to it, great. If they don't want to, I'm getting fulfilled by having these conversations with people.
That's awesome.
And, it's, I went through for a long time. I was like, well, I just want a podcast. I just want to be able to talk to people, but everybody has a podcast. And that was what it kept just going. And I would hear, well, from agents, right?
Mhm.
Well, what's it going to be on? You need a platform. You need sponsors. You need all this stuff. And I thought, you know what? With my little Instagram following and the programs that are out there, we've proven over and over again in this world that podcast equipment is probably too cheap and everybody can have one. And so why
Mhm.
not?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna do my own thing. So it's a very
I love it.
long-winded answer. But
Good for you. I love it. I love it. And it does
thanks.
reveal. I mean, how many clips do we see of something that we can take away from maybe something somebody said in a podcast, right? Like that might
Mhm.
be encouraging, even just a snippet of it, or, maybe somebody can relate to. I think there's a lot of positive that can be done with them for sure.
Yeah, and I think that, my role, like I said, I'm so blessed and I was born and raised a Bears fan, so love the Bears. But
Mhm.
over the years, my role has changed. And so now you see most of what I do on the sidelines
Mhm.
is games with fans and less interaction or less serious
Sure.
interviews. And I missed that. I also being under the team and being a team reporter, my position, I'm comfortable saying this, is it was half reporting, but also half a PR role. I mean, I'm not going to go out and say certain things because I'm working for the team. Like it's very different
Yeah.
than outside media who's asking certain questions and reporting on certain things. And I have had to walk that line very carefully. And so I think a lot of my own authenticity has kind of gotten lost just in trying to straddle the line of, okay, have personality and be yourself, but also be this little robot here that's like,
Sure.
go Bears. And this year was great. I mean, this year we won. It was amazing.
It was awesome.
You could put up
What a year.
anything and nobody cared. But before that, it's like, we're not doing so well. Coach is getting fired. And I'm like, here's my contractual thing that I have to post. Go Bears. And nobody wants to hear it. So,
Winning isn't everything, but it's fun.
yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, I think it's everything. Winning is awesome.
winning is, yes. And get to interview these guys most of the time after wins, right? So when I see you, for those who don't know, let's go through after the game. Generally, you would talk with the winning team, correct? Star player winning team.
Typically now, if the losing team, let's just say the Super Bowl winners were the Seahawks and they were having just a brilliant season and they lost in a terrible fashion, we might go into the losing locker room, but that's after the on-field. So the way it works is I get with the PR staff from typically the winning team and basically request a couple guys. And I like to request players that sometimes may not be the star or the big name, even though they're all stars at the NFL level. I mean, you can't play this game and not be a superstar. Like, they're incredible athletes, and I have so much respect for them. But I want to go get Nishan Wright. I want to go get him, and I want to know why he has that beautiful scripture on his arm and the loss that he's gone through or the emotions that he's playing with in a given day with all the takeaways he had last season to lead the NFL. I want to go get him and give him a floor to say his piece, to say his truth, and to shine a light on him. And that's how I look at the post games, and I love them because when you get a player, I remember being that player that somebody grabbed, and your emotions are at such a different level. You talk about the central nervous system and what an athlete or a coach just went through to win and the perils of the loss on the other side of it. But, to get an Aiden Hutchinson from the Lions after they beat the Bears, after what was really, in Chicago, a difficult season for them, him coming back from a catastrophic injury, and to have him in tears on camera with me, I go to that place with these athletes because I care. And it goes back to, my sensitivity just as a person, probably way too sensitive. My brother always called me a crybaby when I was a kid, but I think that's okay too.
I think that's what makes you so incredibly good at your job is you're just that compassion. And I'm sure, like you said, a lot of it comes from having been a player, having been in that moment. That really is rare. Not everybody has that.
Well, thank you. But, it isn't about me. It just, the thing that I miss about sports is just winning. Like, I miss winning and fighting to win at something. So maybe there's a part of me that kind of like lives vicariously through what I do. Like, I think it's incredible to, you just take football and the work that goes into a given week, any given Sunday, and the preparation that's required, and what these athletes go through, the mental challenges, the expectation to be great, the wherewithal to have to challenge yourself constantly. Like, I think it's hard to be extraordinary. I think you are either ordinary or extraordinary, but like the ones that are, like, imagine the mental toll that takes and how important mental health check-ins and wellness is and why it's become such a big part of sports now, which is not something we had back then. But it's just the dedication and I think the commitment and the sacrifice that you have to make as an athlete. And I think of all these things, like Kobe Bryant, what did he say? I can't relate to lazy people. Like, we don't speak the same language. I feel very much the same way. And so when I get a player on a Sunday, they just won, that's a mini Super Bowl. And I just let them take the mic if they want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
do you have a favorite interview of all time?
Gosh, I don't know. There's just,
or a favorite top career moment, a game you got to cover that was just like electric.
I mean, I think there's so many, to be honest, Lauren, that I just treasure. Honestly, like, I remember interviewing LeBron James when he was a rookie with Cleveland when I was at ESPN. Things that I just remember. Getting Peyton Manning when he was in Denver, who's kind of my favorite quarterback of all time. I really love Peyton Manning. I was such a fan and just loved his approach to the game. And I have so many favorites. But, as recently as this year, you get just moments with some of these players that to celebrate them after what they do. So this is like when you're down there and you know this and you hear the collision and you're going to see some bad injury in a game. And it's like, I'm not numb to it. It is a violent sport. And I just have so much respect because it's truly a violent sport. It's also a sport you got to be incredibly smart to play and to coach and to plan for. And that's why football, like you always heard Aaron Rodgers say, this is the greatest team sport in the world and that you can be a part of. And I think hockey's pretty tough because you're on skates.
Yeah.
I don't know how many NFL players can skate and collide.
And you're getting teeth knocked out and just
are. But football is so violent. And it is just at the same time played with such precision. And I think if I could have played football growing up, it was unheard of for a girl to play, but probably would have been the quarterback too.
Yeah. And you would have been damn good at it.
Probably.
How do you prepare for a week? Because your days start early. Like sometimes it's dark when you are doing your first live shot at a field on a Sunday.
Yeah. Sundays,
I've seen it.
If it's Central Time, it's 8 a.m. show start. It used to be much earlier, but I have a I'm very disciplined. I'm very, like John Maxwell said, the secret of your success is determined by your habits. Like I fully believe that. I get up at probably 3:30 or 4 and I go through a whole routine for my neck. I get on my Peloton. I like to get there an hour early, so I'm typically there by the hour prior to the show start. So it's about a 15 to 18, 19, 20-hour day every Sunday. So I pack probably 3 regular work days into that one day, and if I'm traveling, it ends up being sometimes 20 hours. But that's the job, and I think the preparation starts during the week. I like to have all my work finished on Friday, and then sprinkle in any added news nuggets that I might get regarding a player injury, so on and so forth. But, I watch everything. I listen to everything. I talk to the players as much as I can and tell their stories. And so I love it. I love Sundays. I love being on the sideline on Sundays. That's when I have most leisurely conversations with coaches more often than not, because they've got the game plan and they're finished. They're finished the preparation. Yeah. Right? The proof's in the pudding. Like it's the work is done and now their players just have to go execute it. But it's a freaking lead up. I mean, from, Monday all the way up until Sunday at kickoff and post game, it is a grind.
You have to love it.
You have to love it. And I do. I love the league. I love these players. I love the coaches. I love the strategy that goes into it. I love the game, how intricate the game is, and yet how simply beautiful it is. Like it's, you originally, when we started this, asked me, like, did I ever see myself getting into football? Well, even though I come from Canada and hockey is religion, I do come from a football family. My dad is an obsessive Buffalo Bills fan, and my brother was a hell of a football player. So it's got to be in my blood a little bit.
Absolutely. You're at the top. Like, we'll just say, I mean, you are like at the top. Where do you go from here?
I don't know if I'm at the top, Laura. I don't see it that way. I just keep grinding and keep working.
So have you ever had that I made it moment? Do you let yourself have that?
No, I don't. I think that, at the core of who I am is there's a humility to be curious, to continue to be curious and to continue to learn. And I do, from a deep heart inside me, I believe our journeys are our journeys. And there is a plan in this universe for all of us. And there's a plan in this universe that is guiding me and taking me in these different little directions and turns. And there's a purpose and there's a reason that I've been, at the NFL Network for now 18 seasons. And I'm not trying to run against the river. I'm not trying to swim up against the river. I'm trying to go with the river. And you may hit some waterfalls and you may hit a little pond on the side, or, maybe it creeps into an ocean. You just sometimes don't know where that's going. And I try to go with the universal plan that's ahead of me. So I am grateful though for my journey. I'll tell you that. Like, I'm grateful for all the incredible people that have touched me along the way to help me get to this place. It's such a an interesting industry that we're in now with the social media advent and impact. And, at the end of the day, though, like, I think that there's inside of all of us, there's this kid as we get older. And that, we talked about the wisdom part earlier, but if you ever lose sight of that little kid inside of you, I don't care what your age is, it gets old chasing something. And so you always have to find remember that little girl or little boy that loved something and try to go back to that place, because the mind wanders.
It's so true. And I think that that's, again, one of the important things where it's like, yeah, don't forget to be a kid. And that's why we've, just enjoyed getting this place out west, because it's like you just get to kind of run around and be a kid again. Like,
Gosh, I'm so happy
go
for you guys.
fishing in the pond and go and just do,
I'm so happy for you guys. What a great place you're
Thank
in.
you.
And the serenity and the peace that comes with that. And I know you and I have touched on that prior. So that's wonderful that you guys have that space.
Thank you. I think you should draw a picture. I challenge you to draw a picture of Michael Jordan. Do a sketch of Michael Jordan.
I got to find the one I drew. When I was in high school, I painted quite a bit, and somebody stole my artwork. I was devastated. And I had gone off to Oklahoma, and there was a painting in the high school, hanging in the high school that I did. It was like a watercolor landscape scene, and somebody stole it. So
I wonder if it's the same people. Wasn't there a break into the Louvre or something like that? That was
I mean,
basically the same thing. What if it's sold on the black market for like a crazy amount?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but
what was it a picture of, or what was it a painting of?
I think it was a landscape painting. My mom's first ever painting, I think, was Lake Louise, and it was something like that. It was some picturesque place that that a 15-year-old would do. I mean,
sure.
What else would a 15-year-old? What else would a 15-year-old paint? A beautiful landscape. That's how weird I am. But I love nature,
Okay,
send me to
nature.
Montana.
Then you're going to come out here. Yes.
Yeah.
We should have. We're building a podcast studio. Got high hopes for this podcast over here and the 9 people listening to it. But plenty of room. Come on out.
Okay.
Come ride a horse. Meet Chevy. Bring the dogs, Be a great time.
Yeah.
Be a great time.
Chevy's a special one, man. I can't believe he's 14.
Guys.
That is a special boy that you have.
Thank you.
I love it when you post stuff of him on Instagram. He looks like he's maybe like 8.
Yeah, he's funny.
My girl Ruby, she had her second knee surgery last summer, and she developed, you can kind of see her there stretching.
Yeah.
She developed incontinence, so she can't control her peepees. And she's on
Do you have the
Prone.
belly band thing?
She's on medication now, and she's doing really well. But she's on, when I had move her over to senior dog food, that was a real wake up call for me. I was like, she's now on the senior food. So
yeah. Well, if you need recommendations for all the joint supplements that actually work versus don't work and everything else, you just call me.
Okay. Awesome.
Before we wrap up, we're going to do a real quick, just some fun questions. If you have time.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Last TV show you watched?
Ooh, The Madison. I just started it. The Madisons, or The Madison, with Michelle Pfeiffer and Russell Crowe. Off to a great start. And Scarpetta was before that.
Okay, I'm going to put those on my list. Go to coffee order. I'm assuming you drink coffee because we all do by the gallon.
100%. I am usually a tall dark roast with a shot of espresso in it and some cream. Pretty simple, not sweet, and real strong.
But yeah, we're not messing around. Okay.
No.
Dream vacation spot.
Dream vacation spot would be, honestly, any lake in northern, like Door County-ish, or Canada. Yeah.
So pretty.
Or like a very country-ish sort of lakey vibe.
Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time would be The Shawshank Redemption.
So good.
So good.
Wait, quick story on that. So, when I was in Rockford before the Bears, I used to, because when you're at a small TV station, it's like you don't want people to know that you're making your demo reel, right? Because you're on a contract and all that. I would work on my demo reel at night, like after we would get off the air at like 10:30 or 11. So everybody was very nosy in the edit bays, because it was all shared folders and all of that. And so I saved a folder like under some random folder, and it was all Andy. And Andy was my demo reel because it was
That's
like
hilarious.
breaking out of Shawshank was my
That is
Rockford
hilarious.
experience. And nobody knew who, and it was just like, nobody's going to look for Andy, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, his ability to eventually escape that place and the underlying innocence of him. And then
Yeah.
it was an amazing movie. My other one would be Castaway. I love survival movies. I love survival shows like Alone and that type of thing.
Would you be good on Survivor? I would not.
No.
I'll say it.
No.
I'll say it.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
Not a shot in hell. No, I am not.
That desire to win will only get you so far.
Oh my God. I pretend like I can fish, but I don't want to take the lure out of the fish's mouth. Like I just don't.
That's exact. I say I'm more outsidey than outdoorsy. Like I will be outside and I will do all the things, but I'm not camping. Sorry.
That's right. I'm with you.
Most used app on your phone.
Oh, most used app on my phone would be probably my email or my email maybe.
Okay.
I use Waze to drive. I use a lot of Waze. I always have Waze on because it shows you where the cops are.
Okay.
Much respect to law enforcement. And I mean, Twitter is a great source of news. I mean, you can say what you want about it, but I do use it for news source, like just reading about what's going on. And I think it keeps us pretty current on some of the stuff that's going on while filtering out some of the garbage that it also gives us.
Yeah, for sure. Food you could eat over and over again.
Bread and butter, French bread and butter, nonstop.
My sourdough coming soon.
I could live. My mom and I always say we could live. Your sourdough would be fantastic. I could live off of bread and butter. Go get me a crusty French bread or Italian loaf and just lather it with butter.
Amazing. All right, last one. Quote to live by.
Quote to live by, I would say it's a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote that I love. Self-trust is the first secret to success.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that quote. And I love, my college coach always gave us, we had a thought for the day. We had an offensive thought for the day, a defensive thought for the day, and a quote. And we had to memorize them. And she would randomly call upon us in our center circle before practice every day. And I don't know if she's the first one that gave me that, but I've always loved that quote. It's simple, but it's true. Self-trust is the first secret to success. I don't know if it's a secret, but it's something you got to do. You better trust yourself.
Really good. I love that. I lied. That wasn't the last one.
Okay.
What music are you playing? You said you're all about music, and I want to ask, and then we got sidetracked.
I love music. I can go back and forth between a little R&B and country. I love country music, though. I love country music. I love it, love it, love it. And I love, put on some Ella Langley, put on some, who's my guy from Seattle?
Have you heard the new Luke Combs album? So good.
It's really good. It's really good.
Really good.
Like I have Spotify, and I have Spotify playing at all times in my house. It's rarely.
Did you say
not.
you play music too? No.
No, I dabble a little bit, but that's on my bucket list. I'm gonna become a proficient guitar player before I'm 80. So we'll definitely get that done. We'll get that accomplished. When I'm not in the kitchen, I'll be on the guitar. And I'm really into Thames. I'm really into certain R&B artists as well. Sade. I love music. It's on in my house at all times. I have an old vinyl record player as well. So yeah.
We just got a record player. I don't have a record yet, but
I need
to get one.
Get the vinyl. It's fantastic. I mean, I went from a Gladys Knight concert last year to a Leanne Rimes concert. Two of the most incredible performances.
Incredible range.
Yeah, incredible. I've got, next up for me is Florence and the Machine. I just saw not Ella Langley, but her sidekick there, and all the names are just evading me, but
I know
there's some great artists. Just saw Brandi Carlile. I mean, there's just so many.
So good. You're in a good spot for it in Chicago, too.
Yeah.
Stacey Dales, this has been an absolute joy. Thank you so much
for
joining me.
You have a gift at this. Thanks for having me, Laura.
You're the best.